And my timer is basically just the number winding down. So I've got two different timers here, which affects the same variable. I just didn't want to use the same trigger, so I duplicated a function. Okay, so I just created a new function by clicking here, and I created a new variable. It's just a regular integer, and I set it to 5. Okay, so it's 5 seconds. This is my timer counter, and basically when this function is triggered, it removes uh, 1 from the counter every 1 second. So set timer by function name. Okay, you just type it out, set timer by function name. It's got the function name, which is literally the name of the function. Okay, so you just copy this here, copy and paste it in there, so it's exactly the same. You want to make sure it's looping because it's infinite until the game is over, and you want to set it to 1 second because every second it's going to take off 1 point from my timer counter. So it's like a clock essentially. It's just a fake clock. Okay, and when the timer reaches 0, we're gonna do our break lockpick function. So once the countdown is inactive, so you want to set this off the false pin here. Okay. So once the uh, once the once the function is set, it will start to remove 1 second from the timer counter. And if the timer counter is 0, it goes to break lockpick. Okay. Same thing with the countdown timer X. It's the exact same function, and it goes to break lockpick as well. So break lockpick. I found a sound for a lockpick, or it sounds like a lockpick breaking. Okay, so I'm playing that sound at location, and the sound location is just my player character's location. So it plays just where you are. So on break lockpick, I want to play the sound. I want to remove this widget because remember we're inside a widget, so it can be self here. You don't need to assign a widget. You can just remove this widget. And this part is specific to my game, so I'm just closing the chest pickup widget that opens when I touch a chest, okay, or when I interact with a chest. So you won't necessarily need this part for your game, but I'm just kind of showing you everything either way. All you need to remember is that you need to remove the widget, the mini game widget from the viewport, and you do that with remove from parent uh, when you break a lockpick. And then you want to clear the you want to set the game mode back to game, set the input mode back to game instead of UI, and you can do that by adding your player controller first and then dragging off of the player controller and set input mode to game only. And off of the player character as well, you want to remove your mouse cursor and you want to clear those functions, okay? Because once you break your lockpick, you want the timer to go back to 5 or 10 or whatever you set your timer to. If you don't clear the timer, literally just type in clear timer by function name and set the same function that you had set, and it's going to stop the timer from ticking. Otherwise, it's just going to go on. This part is just a sound. It's just for sound. But if you want to have a sound of your lockpick scratching around as you move it, you can do this as well. Basically, I'm getting the input mouse delta. Delta is just its movement. Okay, so if if my mouse movement x is bigger than one single unit, so if it's moving essentially, so if my mouse x is moving or my mouse y is moving, then I'm going to play the sound once. I'm going to play the scratching sound that I have, and I'm going to wait half a second, and then I'm going to reset it. Okay? So if I don't do a do once loop, every time I move my mouse by one, it's going to start to sound over, and it's going to be super annoying. Okay? If you just want the sound to play once every half a second, my sound is exactly half a second, then it's going to play it in a continuous loop as you move your mouse, as opposed to restarting over and over and over every single time you move by one little unit. Okay, so that's it for the setup other than the success. Okay, so now we have our ticking function that follows basically everything we're doing and sets the lockpicks to move with the mouse. And we have our fail event if we fail. Now let's take a look at the success event, which is basically on double click. Okay, so every widget has overridable functions called mouse events. So you can just you can just click on override under functions here, and you can go on mouse. No, sorry, on double. Maybe because I already have it set up, it's probably not registering anymore. But if you go on mouse double click, it comes up and it brings this event up. Okay, so what is this doing? So first I'm going to get a reference to my game mode. My game mode is specific to my game, and it's just because I'm storing a variable that I need for my chest in here. So you don't really need this. But basically, the double click event is checking the same thing that the event tick is checking. It's checking if my mouse, if it's not my mouse, but my lockpick angle is within my range. Okay, so and I just noticed a little discrepancy here, 3 and 3, and here I have 5 and 5. So I'll set that to 3 and 3. Okay, so it's checking the same thing. So I just copied over what I had in my event graph, and it's checking. It's checking that my angle is within my randomly generated numbers sweet spot of +3 or -3. So let's say that my sweet spot was 40, this would be either 43 or 37 would be an acceptable range to trigger this event. So this is for the Y and this is for the X, which is why I want them both to be met. Okay, so if it meets this condition and this condition, then it goes to true. So basically, when I double click, if I'm double clicking and both lockpicks are in the sweet spot, it's going to go to true. So if it fails, it goes back to the break lockpick event. But if it's true, it goes to the unlock event. And once again, since it's true, I'm going to remove this from parent and clear my timer by function name. Again, I want to clear everything, even though whether it's false or it's true, I have to clear the function. Okay. Otherwise, the timer is just going to keep going. And then at the end on the return node, you want to just write handled and select handled. That basically means that it's been done and dealt with and you're good to go. And that's it. Okay, so this particular unlock, okay, event, it's going to be different for every game. So whether you unlock a chest or a door, so I can't show you exactly what to do here, but just to give you an idea, if I am successful, if I'm not successful, it goes to break lockpick, and I showed you what break lockpick does. It's basically just basically cancels the event and closes the widget. But if it goes to true, it goes to chest unlock event, and the chest unlock event is basically just a custom event that I have on my chest, and once that is hit, it sets off the opening of the locked chest. So however you have your door or your chest set up is up to you, but this is just basically that's a tutorial for another tutorial for a different story. This is just to show you how to create a X and Y axis test with your mouse to check for either a true event or a false event. So again, at the end, it gives me this. A chest that is locked. Upon opening it and I move my mouse up and down, it's following the angle until I hit the sweet spot here. The timer goes down. If I take my mouse off, the timer stops winding down. And if I set both sweet spots, nope, didn't work. Let's try it again. Sweet spot, sweet spot. There you go. So thanks for watching, guys, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found it useful. Thank you.